So this is why our original point, the one that we've made repeatedly now, is that clear, definitive language needs to be present in policies like this. And oddly, in Asus's case, the language was clear and definitive. It's just that the language said, you. But at least they were clear about their intentions. It just wasn't a good policy. Now, Asus claims via LTT that, quoting LTT here, they don't intend to communicate that they won't respect users' warranties. And if that were the case, then perhaps they should not have communicated that in the manner which they did. We also saw some points presented that Asus might not enforce this or won't enforce this, as if to say, well, it's okay that it's here, we won't use it. And that's just insane. Just general, not legal advice from a not lawyer, although we'll have a lawyer on momentarily. If you don't agree to something and the other party of the contract is, well, I'm not going to use that anyway, then the response should be then remove it. Because if it's there, it can be acted on. And the final point here from this original set of statements from Asus was actually from LTT and also subsidiary channel Tech Linked, which both noted that this is all just boilerplate or something, where boilerplate is almost intended to be inferred by the audience as a dismissal of the severity of the language, as if to say, well, because it's boilerplate and it's copy-paste from everything, that means it's okay, or that means we don't intend to use it, or whatever the implication was there. We strongly disagree with that defense, and that's Asus' apparently defense of the Linus Media Group, and we further disagree with the lack of challenge to that defense. But the lawyer interviews we're getting to momentarily will talk about that, because it is an important point for you to understand as a consumer why just boilerplate means absolutely nothing. In fact, it really means you should pay more attention to it. Now, we emailed Asus immediately following the WAN show. We asked them to confirm their statements because we were working off of another outlet reporting on what Asus told them. Asus did not confirm or deny the statement. It ignored the question, basically, and provided a new one instead. So we're going to move on from that stuff. It looks like Asus got the memo after the WAN show when we emailed them and said, this is a terrible statement to make. And they're starting to correct it. So let's go through that and give them some benefit of the doubt here to make a correction. So after pushing Asus for a few weeks, they said this, quote, we want to address the concerns that have been raised by our users about whether recent BIOS updates will impact the warranty of the Asus AM5 motherboard. We would like to reassure our customers that both beta and fully validated BIOS updates for Asus AM5 boards are covered by original manufacturer warranty. We would also like to confirm the following points. The Asus AM5 motherboard warranty covers all AMD Expo, Intel XMP, and DOCP memory configurations. They all said all recent BIOS updates follow the latest AMD voltage guidelines for Ryzen 7000 processors. Furthermore, we would like to reiterate our commitment to supporting the AMD AM5 platform and our customers. For any further inquiries about your board, please contact us. Now, this was already an awesome move in the right direction, finally. A little bit of effort to get here, but we are giving them a lot of credit for this, because Asus, and we're going to hold them to this, so if they don't follow this, please let us know immediately via team@gamersnexus.net. But Asus is saying it is now functionally expanding its warranty coverage to explicitly include Expo and XMP. And they explicitly say that for the Asus AM5 warranty. So it doesn't necessarily mean the other product lines, but at least for this one, Asus is including Expo and XMP, which is traditionally not covered. Not that it's really been enforced traditionally, but they could enforce it, and that's the point we were making earlier. So this is good. This is a great move in the right direction. Asus stayed in touch with us after this. There must have been some kind of discussion internally where they had a major change of tone. Maybe PR finally won over legal or PMs or whatever it was, but someone decided to open up the door. So they provided another statement that was more in depth, and this is the important one. It states, quote, as we finalize our internal review and root cause assessment, we want to provide a recap. 1, we completed an internal RCA and shared our findings with AMD. 2, we implemented a thermal mitigation function in our UEFI BIOS. Our commentary here, that's a major change, and that should more or less prevent the issue that we saw originally. 3, they said, we implemented AMD's max SoC voltage guidance and have released UEFI BIOS updates with these implementations starting late April. We've also recently completed posting an all-new range of formal releases, which also contain AMD's 1007A to G. 4, we're working with channel partners and SIs to notify customers regarding their warranty guidance relating to UEFI releases. And this is actually awesome if they're doing this. So hopefully not just through SIs, but through their own registered site. When you register for a warranty, they can do outreach. Realistically, it's very difficult for a company with the volume of ASUS to get in touch with everyone who's bought something, because when you're selling through retailers, distributors, they don't really know where the board ends up at the end of the day. But the fact that they're trying at all, and especially through SIs where the customer is far less likely to pay attention to the media coverage online, this is a good move. This is what we want to see for issues where a part can die as a result of a failure that's a simple update away from being fixed. So that's good. And ASUS, thank you. Good job on that. We're happy to give credit for that. That's what needs to happen. They continue a bit, so they have a formal press release. They kind of recap those updates. They say, since the first report, we've issued guidance to define incoming service cases as high priority. They say on May 12th, they announced that customers with AM5 boards qualify for their premium program of service. And they also say they're working with retail partners to notify customers in addition to the SIs we mentioned. Additionally, ASUS removed the beta BIOS messaging, and it says it is now openly communicating that users are covered, which is true. We just read that statement. And they say they have some FAQ updates. So I would say this is what we wanted, and we're gonna mark this issue as resolved on our issue tracker website on Nexus. Although we don't know if it's been fully resolved for everybody, but at least on ASUS, we did some quick testing before I get up on a plane here for Taiwan for Computex. But we did some quick testing, and it does look like at least the SoC has come down. So that's good. You know, we're probably not going to validate every vendor, but it looks like this matter is getting resolved, certainly by AMD, and ASUS is taking the step they should, which is active outreach. I mean, genuinely, we're really happy about that. It's a little tough because just the amount of difficulty to get here, where we had to have some very contentious email back and forth, some silence for a while, this big public blast on ASUS originally, and it's like now we get here. This is right. I mean, this is what they should have done, and the proper original statements were not to say, hit F5 and restore default on your $700 motherboard. By the way, we're a premium brand and we offer a premium experience unless you need support, in which case you're on your own, screw you. You know, that was kind of the vibe they were doing originally. And if you ask yourself, what are you paying for with a brand like ASUS, what you are paying for is the response in a crisis situation like this, or is the response when you have a component failure. That extra 10 to 20% on all their products over their competitors, it's to pay for a good service experience. So if you're a user who says, I don't want anything to go wrong, but if it does, I want it to be easy. That's what ASUS is trying to sell, but they were doing it without providing that part. So the sales pitch was there, but not the product, or in this case, the service. We have no commentary on that confusing language at the moment. But that is not to take away from the fact that this is the correct response, and ASUS, please use these 10 bullet points as a template for your future problems, because you will have more. All companies do, and that's fine. It's how you handle it that matters. This handling is excellent, and we'd love to see this used as a template if it happens again. Okay, so with the new statements now out of the way and everyone being updated, we want to use this opportunity as an educational experience for us and for our viewers by bringing an attorney on the show to do a brief interview about some of your consumer protections. And our guest today has experience dealing with warranties and consumer protections in consumer matters, and can speak to some of ASUS's original motivations with that original language we found problematic, speak to the confusion that ASUS caused, whether intentional or not, in its multiple documents about warranties. And our guest will be taking the perspective of both ASUS to provide the why did they do this look, and of the consumer to provide the how do you fight this, or how do you protect yourself from the consumer look. And hopefully we can all take home some things in the future, if not for this specific scenario. Okay, so now we are joined by Vincent, and we're going to talk about some of the legal issues and the warranty stuff relating to all of this. But Vincent, do you want to introduce yourself, what you do first?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Vincent Augusta. I'm an attorney, licensed to practice law in the state of North Carolina. My practice does litigation. We do consumer protection, real estate transactions that involve warranty issues, and contract disputes generally.
So this is a high-level look at how the language was written, what maybe their intents were, and we're going to look at it kind of back and forth between, from ASUS's perspective, how might they do a thing, or a company in general, and from the consumer's perspective, how might they try to challenge it. But with anything that is a legal matter, as I was learning talking to Vincent before this, it's not necessarily cut and dry, which is why you have lawyers who represent you in a courtroom. So we're looking at the hypothetical situations to focus on the importance of wording and phrasing within a document. And obviously, if there were ever actually an issue that arises, most likely you don't sue a company over a product failure, but this will still explore some of those what-if scenarios.
Right.
So, sent over a ton of information. Before we get into the specific questions, just in general, doing your initial research, looking at the manuals, terms of conditions, all that stuff, did you notice anything you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, so the first thing that I noticed was that there seems to be a great deal of confusion with these documents. So the documents have nested references to other documents, and it makes it very difficult to follow. So, for example, the terms of service says that services don't have warranties, but services is defined as including products. Well, we know products have warranties because the motherboard has a warranty, but the motherboard warranty is invalid if it violates the user's manual. The user manual says that you're not supposed to change the BIOS, and the BIOS patch obviously does that. So it's very unclear to me how to resolve some of these things.
So products are services in this case, or
according
or
to the
services
terms of service, it defines services as including all products.
Okay.